Hey, Brendon.
What are you doing here? What the hell are you doing in my house, dear Dad?
I thought I would come visit.
What are you doing?
Don't be mean.
Man, you're such a crybaby. God.
Hola, Internet amigos. This is a great video by Brendan O'Connell. He will explain who backs Candace Owens and Tucker CARLSON through Rebecca Mercer and Lord Farmer and the City of London, all via Cambridge Analytica and SCL Group, the UK Ministry of Defence affiliated psychological warfare operation, started in the 1990s, so let us attend.
In cyber is a real domain of power. In cyber is a real domain of power.
Did you hear Mary Silva is up 30% in the polls? I don't like it, George. We don't want an outsider in any position of power snooping around our operation up there in Washington. Israel's entire defense strategy depends on it.
Damn it, Jesse! What did I tell you about Section 219 of the NDAA?
Yo, Mr. White, I got it. Israel embedded itself into our military 50 years ago. Freaking out about Section 219 is for noobs, bitch.
I'm overwhelmed at my feelings of helplessness that no matter how much I will link Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker CARLSON, Candace Owens, that whole crew straight back to the City of London, Cambridge Analytica, SCL Group, no matter how much I link that back, no matter what I do, it will not matter one single millimeter. Not one single millimeter. But it pays my rent, so I'm just going to talk about it. One of the things we talk about is, well, you know, Tucker CARLSON's going to start another party. This is pure Cambridge Analytica, SCL Group, NATO, psychological warfare, and we're going to tell you where Cambridge Analytica started. You remember Cambridge Analytica and the absolute scandals through the whole Brexit movement.
Britain makes a noise. An actual noise. Did you know that?
I feel I should almost apologise. It says here you basically ran the Leave campaign, and yet, I doubt most people have ever heard of you.
Mr. Cummings, this inquiry was established by the Information Commissioner's Office following revelations concerning the European referendum 4 years ago in 2016. Its primary purpose is to investigate the use of our personal data in political campaigns and the way in which it is rapidly altering democratic processes.
A million important questions to be asked of our nation, our species, our planet. And no one's asking the right ones.
Has experienced anything like Brexit before?
Brexit will never be a win-win.
The course that Brexit would
Of our
take.
approach to Brexit.
No deal
We live
Brexit.
in a multiverse of differing branches of histories.
Brexit.
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 My question is, do you consider your campaign to have acted within accordance of British law?
And in a different branch of history, I was never here. Some of you voted differently, and this never happened. But I was. And it did. Everyone knows who won. But not everyone knows how.
You remember all of that. Okay.
Dominic. Zach Massingham, aggregate IQ. Just pleased to get your message. We've been trying to get in touch with you, actually.
Really? It was surprisingly hard to find online for an online analytics company.
Not really in the business of advertising what we do.
Which is what? Just so that I'm absolutely sure it's what I need.
Technically, we use sophisticated algorithms to micro-target populations in political campaigns.
The other side is a voter database that I don't have access to, and I need to build my own, find voters, and target them with our ads.
We're becoming a little more sophisticated than that now.
Aaron, this is Robert Mercer, an old family friend, and an investor in, well, all of this.
Nigel, good to see you again.
Now, in this scene, you're going to see Robert Mercer. This is Rebecca Mercer's daddy. These are the people that are funding Tucker CARLSON to the tune of tens of millions. This is a British operation. Tucker CARLSON is a British operation, Cambridge Analytica crew. That's who he is. And that's when Steve Bannon was made chief executive officer. Then he had the huge falling out with Rebecca Mercer. And Mercer kept telling him to stop being a populist. He told her to get effed. That was 2018. That's when he had the huge fight with Kissinger, Gary Cohn, and Jared Kushner. That's when you see at that same time period what Candace Owens is marrying the gay Lord Farmer son straight into the City of London network. That's the time frame. I'm giving you gold, baby. Gold.
London was always going to be a key front in our cultural war against the political class. Feels like something's coming, doesn't it?
Fuck, I'm sorry.
I should introduce you to Steve Bannon, chairman of Breitbart. He's also on the board of one of my other little projects, a data mining company, election specialists combined. It's new. Just been working on Ted Cruz's campaign. When we began, he was only polling 3%. We got him up into the 40s. An unprecedented leap. Simply through behavioral micro-targeting. Finding where the voters you can convert are, and knowing the messages that will convert them.
Silicon Valley, eh? It's my kind of people.
No. The Brits, Cambridge Analytica, and beyond.
Oh, he says, no, I mean the Brits and beyond. He's talking about military-grade, NATO-affiliated, Ministry of Defense, 1990s Mayfair set. Watch good old Adam Curtis, the Mayfair set, and you will begin to see the private intelligence service of the old Victor Rothschild, the old Lord Jacob Rothschild. That's who's running that show. This is military grade. It's not just a bunch of rich guys. Robert Mercer didn't turn up till much later, and we'll talk about that later. This was a British City of London operation from start to finish. The aim was always to run Brexit, break up the world under Kissinger and associates into the multipolar world order, Primakov Doctrine, and Trump was meant to withdraw. It was all stopped by what we will generically call the old Skull and Bones boys, Heritage Foundation, and so on. Then you saw the shit fight when Bannon went after Gary Cohn and all the rest. Okay, let's keep going.
He went to a refugee camp in the Lebanon, and he said, you must understand that 2% of these people are jihadi activists. Now, that's the truth.
Money is one thing, Mr. Banks, but data is power. You see, this is all just beginning.
Technology's moved beyond you like this, so you might like that. Internet algorithms learn about our behavior, our psychology even, our emotional state. These social media platforms know what questions we're asking, what keeps us awake at night, when we sleep, where we go, who we go there with. And therefore, the system can make predictions. It does. And therefore, the system can make predictions. It does. And therefore, the system can make predictions. It does. Embarrassingly accurate ones.
Such as?
Okay, so like, Facebook knows when you're falling out of love with your partner. Yeah. And didn't mean to discover it, wasn't its intention, but 2 billion people constantly inputting into the database a dozen times a day, and patterns form, behaviors overlap.
So what, it just targets or micro-targets your message, that's all?
Not just all. So what it means is that we can design and distribute thousands of different adverts that vary, depending on who we're sending them to. So your timeline will be slightly different to your friends, your moms, and so on. And our software can test how effective certain ads are on certain people in terms of liking, clicking, sharing, and then learn how to adapt them, to improve them in real time.
In real time?
Mm-hmm.
What's in it for you?
Truthfully, our problem is that we haven't found a large enough test case yet to understand this technology's effectiveness, a decent sample size.
So we're just a trial, is that all? What British democracy is a lab experiment for a greater prize.
Blanket advertising's dead. We're updating and uploading all the time, by choice, teaching data companies and advertisers exactly who we are and what we want. Data that leads political parties to individual voters with a message that is algorithmically tailored towards them. Look, it was Obama who led the way on this, a liberal. It's not about right versus left, it's about old versus new. This is the new politics, Dom. This is how you will win.
The New York Post, let me be blunt about the New York Post. You're owned by someone that we should denaturalize immediately. They got a bunch of Australians, a bunch of progressive Australians, and now English. And they said, oh, no, they're American citizens. No, please stop.
in the middle of the night so that he could buy the Fox network. Now, Fox News was over a decade away from even being launched, more than a decade, I think. Back in the 80s, Murdoch, in his power move, was to buy the Fox network. Well, to own a broadcast network, you have to be a citizen of the United States of America. And guess what? He was not a citizen of the United States of America. So how did it do? In the middle of the night, and this is just the way power works, baby, he became a citizen of the United States. This kind of got it done. He needs to be denaturalized immediately.
Side already have on a government database. You're thinking way too small.
No one's ever accused me of that before.
What about those who are off the grid, who don't vote? Social media platforms are designed to find like-minded people better than people can. Our system will locate and target people that no campaign has ever targeted before. People who don't and have never voted. Anti-establishment, angry, your people. Dominic, we have already started to find them. 3 million extra votes.
Fuck off.
All of them yours, that the other side have no idea exist.
Then you'll also remember who SCL Group is, who started it, and their NATO Psychological Warfare British Ministry of Defence contracts, which started back in the 1990s, before Robert Mercer ever turned up. And guess who started all of those groups? None other than friends of Lord Farmer, Candace's daddy-in-law.
Just because Candace Owens married into the highest levels of the City of London and Lord Jacob Rothschild himself via her gay husband, George Farmer, no need to think about that too much, Lisa.
Fancy that! Not only is Candace Owens 1 degree of separation from the City of London Zach Jimmy Goldsmith Rothschild family, 1 millimeter of degree by birth, by marriage, 1 millimeter. Apparently, the entire internet and 7 billion people can't work it out, because I've done a pretty thorough search and I can't find a not a soul will mention Candace Owens, Lord Farmer, and Lord Jacob Rothschild, Council of Christians and Jews, and King Charles. Not a freaking soul. Her enemies of Candace Owens, they're foaming at the mouth. They want to kill her. Well, all they have to do to completely ruin her is mention, hey, Candace, you're the ultimate Jew baiter, and you appear to be completely in bed with the ultimate Jews out of the City of London. Just noting, does Candace Owens feel she has to explain this? Does Candace Owens look like she is in the slightest bit worried? Hi, friends, I'm pregnant again. Everything's wonderful. Doing her brilliant. I mean, she does. She's great at what she does. She just pulls the piss. That's my kind of smart-ass commentary. That's what I do. That's Candace Owens. She does a great job. Let's face it. I watch her just for that, because I chuckle to myself. She pulls the piss and just winds them up. She's a great Cambridge Analytica psychological weapon, without question. Is anybody out there in internet land going to mention Candace Owens? Let's read on. Let's go over to the screen. Good old Gemini. I have dumped Perplexity. It got so bad. I was trying to investigate none other than the owners of Perplexity, J.D. Vance, Peter Thiel, and a bunch of others, and it just blatantly refused. You're a conspiracy. It told me I was a conspiracy theorist. I just went, you got to be fucking. I recorded that. I thought, this is absurd. This is absurd. And I've deleted my account. I'm getting more out of Gemini these days. But have a look at these links. Because I said, look, we know Robert Mercer's dead. Rebecca Mercer, the daughter, is the one that got Bannon involved with Cambridge Analytica and what's his name, Nix. And Bannon had the huge falling out when Rebecca Mercer told him to shut up. This is straight from Breitbart. When the same guy from Breitbart was saying, Candace Owens' husband's a fraud, he's gay, he tried to kiss me, forgets to mention all the other good stuff. And there's Bannon, then starts going after Kissinger, and he had a huge fight with Gary Cohn of Goldman Sachs. It was Gary Cohn and Jared Kushner who were manipulating Trump. What have they got on Trump? Trump's a weirdo. He's a sexual deviant. We don't know if he's into kids, but he seems to hang around with a lot of people who are. He's been an FBI informant for 40 years with Roger Stone. We can link Roger Stone with the next few come. We can link Roger Stone with the Bromptons. We can link Roger Stone with good old school Trotskyite. Mosquito, big fat one. Irving Kristol's son, what's his name? Bill Kristol. We can link Roger Stone with none other than NATO Marine Psychological Warfare guy, owner of Denology. And Clear Force, a video's coming, a proper video. General Jim Jones privatized data analytic companies contracted to the US and Israeli intelligence community, such as Danology and General Jones, with whom Roger Stone had a close association.
You don't understand people. I do. Rod should hold a press conference today and call for Trump's impeachment. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. I'm going to do it. I'm supporting impeachment. I'm supporting impeachment. He must be removed. His son Jared must be prosecuted.
Explain it, because it does hurt my feelings. Explain why you wouldn't come here first.
I'm the pioneer of IIA, basically social media fake news. The last place that I'm going to go is a organization called Information Warfare, right? So our number one partner, and this is 2008, 2009, 2010, our number one partner. Hell, we were McCain's IT security company and social media company during the 2008 primary. We were replaced in a subprime shift with Paul Manafort and Roger Stone, right? So your partner is someone who was who is close personal friends to my boss, Jim Jones, his dad, General James Jones.
He's in close friends with General FLYN, our hero.
Is one of the most effective means of preserving peace. Thank you for this opportunity. I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, General. General Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Reid, members of the committee, thank you for inviting me to add to the expert testimony that you've already received.
Gillian Turner, ladies and gentlemen, there they are.
Fox News correspondent Gillian Turner shared some incredible personal news during a live broadcast of The Five. As a respected journalist known for her coverage of international affairs and role as State Department correspondent,
FLYN and Jones, two generals thick as thieves, psych warfare specialists at a joint hearing committee. They're also personal acquaintances. I don't know about close friends, but certainly personal acquaintances post their careers. And there's Gillian Turner, his little PA, who then became CEO, one of the directors of Danology and Clear Force with General Jim Jones' son. You know, privatized military psychological warfare profiling, and there she is on Fox News. It's not just the mainstream media, people. It's the alt media. They run all of them, including Tucker CARLSON and Candace Owens. And look at her. She's from South Africa. She's from South Africa. Her beautiful little all-American voice. She's from South Africa, along with her husband, Alex Craner. South Africa, home of the KGB Recruitment Center. South Africa, deep in with the state of Israel. Now, is Gillian Turner a spy? A City of London spy? I don't know that, but I'd be awfully suspicious of her and her husband, and I'd want to do a huge background check and recheck those security credentials. I really would.
Sue Dobson was a young white South African woman. She was also a spy for the banned African National Congress. The ANC was a liberation movement known for its opposition to apartheid. In the 1980s, she built a legend, a fake persona where she pretends to conform, moving easily through the echelons of the racist government in her work as a journalist, whilst concealing her espionage and military training in the Soviet Union and her intelligence work.
And what the hell, since when is it just purely accepted in plain view that half the staff on Fox News are intelligence assets? Half the staff work for the National Security Council. Half the staff are literally running their own privatized military contract style advertising and marketing / psychological warfare, Cambridge style, Cambridge Analytica. I mean, come on, Tucker CARLSON. Come on, Candace Owens. That's what they all are, ladies and gentlemen. Wake up. And I want to look into these two South Africans. And I know the South Africans a lot. I went out with a South African, well, actually from Zimbabwe, Rhodesia. He was friends with Ian Smith, her father. Her father was a very interesting, big man. Very intimidating, polite, but very intimidating. Close friends with Ian Smith, the Rhodesian bourgeois. And all the South African Jews there in Perth, Western Australia, they're dealing drugs, up to all sorts of mischief. It's their little hideout. It's their little hideout. Anyway, back to the video. So when you look at Gillian Anderson and all these mainstream and alt media, they're all working for a damned intelligence agency. Wake up. Oh, our patriotic heroes in with Thomas Massie. They're in with Thomas Massie and him are like thick as thieves. This is all, well, I'm looking at the wrong. It's all Cambridge Analytica, baby. It's all SEL Group, it's all NATO, it's all the Ministry of Defence out of Britain. That's why they're all over there in Dubai and they're all over there in Qatar and they're all over there hanging with the sheikhs going, oh, Sharia law, it's magnificent, it's beautiful. Dubai's beautiful. Dubai's a shithole drug money laundering capital of the fucking world, which goes straight into the London banks. The sheikhs are a bunch of stinking, coke-infatuated whores. Every last one of them. And there's Tucker CARLSON, totally unashamed. A multi-millionaire with 27 permanent staff. Funded by who? Rebecca Mercer. It's Cambridge Analytica. It's SCL Group. It's NATO. It's the British Ministry of Defence. Look at this stuff. These key individuals. Right? This is open source stuff. This is nothing. It's totally in the open. It's totally written about. Gemini's not having a hallucination about these people. You can go and read the whole thing. Here we are here. I asked it. I want to know exactly who is behind Cambridge Analytica and SCL Group. Note this from official government sources you quoted. All right, that's what they said about the directors, the SCL Group, Alexander Nix, Mr. Mercer, who funded it all. And I write, I am 55 years old and versed in the deep politics of government and private banker convergence and intel operations. Victor Rothschild as a Soviet asset for starters, flowing into George Farmer and Candace Owens, etc. These far-reaching networks. I see Mercer as an outlet for Rothschild and City of London funding, the front end as Lord Farmer, as head of the Council of Christians and Jews, and Metal Trader brings him into focus as a Rothschild asset. And they are front ends for that Rothschild forces. Now, you have to be very careful with this stuff because a Gemini wants to tell you what you want to hear. So you've got to double check your little stuff. And this is all open source. None of this is made up. It's not an hallucination. To understand the exact individuals and elite interests operating behind SCL Group and Cambridge Analytica, you have to look at two distinct tiers, the British aristocracy and Tory establishment that founded and sheltered SCL, and the American hedge fund capital that funded its transition into domestic political operations. You have to understand the past. Victor Rothschild as a Soviet asset. Half the British establishment, according to MI5. See, these MI5 are doing their job. Peter Wright, they forced him out. They forced out the good guys. Kay Grigg said they killed freaking Patton. They ousted MacArthur. Eisenhower was compromised. And they just, post-World War II, they took the place over completely. Once you understand that background and the Silver Master spy rings, the complete infiltration of these Bolshevik Jews into the United States, and the whole British establishment is working with the Soviet Union. They run Red China because they're trying to get their empire back. They haven't forgotten. They want it back. They're sworn to the destruction of the United States. That is why I say, as emotionless as I can, Candace Owens, Tucker CARLSON, the whole lot of them, are absolute threats to the Republic, the strength of the Republic, the foundation of the Republic, the foundation from which a new order could be built in terms of literally the Declaration of Independence, the US Constitution, the Bill of Rights. All right, it's not perfect. It's filled with scumbags on all sides, but that Tucker CARLSON execution is a must. They must be executed for treason. They must have the cars roll up and drag them out. And you know why they can't do it? Because the other side is so freaking compromised. They can't do it because the other side is so infiltrated into the critical infrastructure and the Epstein rings and on and on. And here is the internal battle that is going on all the way to the Strait of Hormuz. This is the great game. This is the great battle. I hope you will now understand, just as I read this stuff before I put it into something more formal. Understand the past is prologue. How the hell is half the British establishment in league with the Soviet assets? Because they're trying to destroy the American empire. That's why. They're trying to stop the American empire from growing by subverting it constantly. Like when they fired MacArthur and said he won't cooperate with the UN. MacArthur says, I'm going to win the war. I'm going to drop a line of atomic bombs and I'm going to sort out Red China once and for all. And they went, MacArthur, take your corncob pipe and be on your way, my son. No, we're not here to win any wars. We're here to form the multipolar world order. All right, and stop America taking over the world with its giant military that it now has, that has now been built. That has been the subversion. Oh, the atom bomb secrets just handed to the Soviets. The hydrogen bomb secrets handed to the Soviets. And then you got Chris Nolan making a Oppenheimer, the shittiest movie I've seen in a long time, saying, well, yeah, he did do this to Sotomayor and got it all to a mass murderer in Stalin, but, he was a nice guy. You need to clean out Hollywood big time, man. And there's Ari and Rahm Emanuel in the background. Yeah, all the Muslim stuff, the Muslims are taking over. The more Israel's on the nose, the more the Muslims invade. The Muslims. There's Rahm Emanuel running the Democrats into the ground. If you vote for the Democrats, who's going to vote for those crazy Muslim socialist commie Democrats? It's all fake. It's all City of London. All of it. America. Below is the precise name breakdown of the owners, directors, financial backers, and corporate entities behind both operations. And Mary Silver's done. She's got over 30,000 votes now. She's going to go into the election. No one expects her to win. Well, you never know. Who knows? God's grace, anything could happen. But Del Benny's another whore. She's a whore for Boeing and a whore for Microsoft. And who runs that? Jews, Israel. That's who runs it. City of London runs it. That's what Del Benny is. And Del Benny, better watch yourself because the ramifications are coming. So you don't get it. When I say, what are you saying, Brendon? They're coming to kill her? I'm just saying that if you continue to do what you're doing, we speak to very interesting people. And they speak to very interesting people in very interesting places who have a lot of weapons and train to kill for a living. And when they snap, when they finally work out how bad things really were, I would not want to be any of you people. So you need to start to think, but they can't because they've had it their way so long. They don't know what the opposite effect is, which is they're going to get punched in the mouth. It's like the rich kid who's never struggled until he gets punched in the, don't you know who I am? Don't you know who I am? Boom, straight in the chin. And they're in shock. They're in shock. See, they haven't had it. But unfortunately, the punch in the chin might be something a bit more lethal and a bit more permanent. I'm not just saying that to just stir the pot. I'm trying to say it's like gravity. Gravity is going to kick in, ladies and gentlemen. Gravity will kick in. You fools. I know you watch these. I know you watch this stuff. I know your friends at Dana Loesch watch this. I know Candace Owens supporters watch this. I know fucking Ari Emanuel knows who I am, as does Rahm Emanuel. I know Netanyahu got a briefing. Whether he remembers my name or not, it's not the point. I have no idea. I doubt it. I know he knows who Mary Silver is. I know a lot of things you don't know that I know. But I'm telling you now, you need to start thinking outside the box. When you're in the FBI, when you've been whoring around with all these billionaires, and now you're in the bag, now you're worried about an IRS investigation on all the assets and all the tips you got for your stock portfolio and that you're amazing at. Suddenly, for an FBI lowlife, you're doing really well in the stocks. You've got 4 investment properties. See, there's going to be some major changes. You just don't get it. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to lessen the blow for all of us. I'm asking you now, before the parties hit the floor, before they start hitting the floor, are you going to stop? Are you going to look around and go, we got to get out of this? You need to turn on your masters, turn on them and do it fast. But, whatever. Who am I? I'm just some shit for brains in Mexico. What do I, on my little tiny audience, tiny audience. So what do I know? I don't know. I know a lot of things. Long before Robert Mercer entered the picture, and here's the key with this stuff when you think of Robert Mercer and putting in Steve Bannon. Remember the huge falling out when Bannon went populist and betrayed the Mercers. Okay? The point was to break up Brexit, do all this stuff to form this new multipolar world order. That was the plan. Kissinger's in the background, the whole lot of them, because it's all City of London. Long before Robert Mercer entered the picture, SCL, Strategic Communication Laboratories, operated out of Mayfair, London. Now, if you don't know the background to Mayfair, London, it's where all the private casinos were, all the small boutique banks were for the intelligence community, all Rothschild, all City of London. So you don't know that. But that's Mayfair. Very important place. They'd get all the sheikhs to come down and compromise them there. They'd take them to the private casinos, hook them up with all the local whores. And that's Mayfair, London. That's the centre. That's Dracula's castle there. As a private defence contractor, that's SCL Group, a private defence contractor in the 1990s, specialising in psychological operations, target audience analysis, TAA, and election management in developing nations. In the colonies, old boys, top hats and monocles, tea and biscuits. So Strategic Communication Labs. The founders and executives were Nigel Oakes, Alexander Nix, the CEO, and Julian Wheatland. The other parts were the Tory aristocratic VCs, Baron Marland, Tory, Roger Gabb, Army Tory. He's very interesting. Roger Gabb did very well for himself. Another front for the City of London. Vincent Chachouzi, who is an Iranian exile. The military intel part were the Ministry of Defence, clearances, NATO, TAA contracts, and the State Department. That's who they had contracts with. The key individuals, Nigel Oakes, founder and CEO of SCL Group, therefore Cambridge Analytica, long before Robert Mercer, long before Steve Bannon. This is the network in which Candace Owens is married into. This is a network in which good old Tucker CARLSON moves in. Trillionaire bankers know how to place their assets beforehand. Eton-educated scion of English-landed gentry, his father, Major John Waddington Oakes, was High Sheriff of Warwickshire. Oakes founded the Behavioural Dynamics Institute and SCL in 1990 to commercialise military behavioural modification strategies. Alexander Nix, we all know him, the CEO of Cambridge Analytica and SCL Group. Eton-educated former financial analyst at Baring Brothers. You know, the big drug money laundering bank that went bust? What an interesting bank. Nick served as the primary frontman and operational executive across both companies. Baron Jonathan Marland, Lord Marland, former treasurer of the British Conservative Party, former UK Minister of State under David Cameron, and chairman of the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council. Marland was an early shareholder and key investor in SCL Group. And these are the old rent boy departments. These are the old missing children. This is their group. This is all the kids that went missing. Hundreds of them. All of them linked in. Roger Michael Gabb. This guy's interesting. Former British Army officer, Queen's Royal Lancers. Jolly good. And major Conservative Party megadoni who held a significant stake in SCL Group. Oh, the British Army must be paying really well. No, his background is wine and import-export. He's another guy grabbed out of the lodge, a Scottish Rite Mason, and he's been pushed. We're going to fund you. We're going to put you out there. Then you donate back to our particular political causes and our particular private corporations. But it doesn't link back to Rothschild. And he just magically becomes a wine exporter and is exporting this and he's exporting that, and we wonder what else he was exporting and importing into the country. Remember when South Africa was making meth and ecstasy and just selling it cheap into the ghettos of Soweto and etc.? Yeah, I bet they were. That's all linked in with the Netherlands, all linked in with the drug trade, all of it. Roger Michael Gabb, so that's the British Army officer. Vincent Chekenguez, and is an Iranian-born British property tycoon, Consensus Business Group, who provided over £1 million in early funding to SCL Group through his investment vehicles. He is an intelligence asset, just like Victor Rothschild had his asset in the Shah of Iran's court. These are all assets, just like Mint Press News, who Whitney Webb worked for. They're all intel assets. And even her own sperm-doning boyfriend half-wit admits daddy's a CIA case officer. I told she's self-destruct. You wait, hasn't even begun yet. Julian Wheatland, chairman of SCL Group and later CEO of Cambridge Analytica following Alexander Nick's suspension. The defence and intelligence apparatus. SCL Group was not a mere PR firm. It held formal national security accreditations. This is the important part. This is all the Ministry of Defence, all the rest. All right, it's all City of London. NATO contracts, contracted by NATO to deliver an 8-week target audience analysis training for NATO staff and partner military forces in Eastern Europe. Now, who else is affiliated with NATO and wrote NATO Marine Psychological Warfare training text? Oh, that would be Robert David Steele, wouldn't it? Robert David Steele. Oh, they're kidnapping children and taking them to Mars. with his silly little court where they were saying, oh, the children have been kidnapped. They all work for the child kidnappers. All of them. They had that half-wit. Who was my lawyer? Can you believe the lawyer they got to head it all as the judge? The judge was none other than Sir, I've forgotten his damn name. I'll put it up on the screen. That half-wit. He was my lawyer. He completely ruined my case. What a small world we live in. U.S. Military and State Department contracted by the U.S. Department of State's Global Engagement Center and deployed in Afghanistan to conduct population mapping under U.S. military intelligence directives, just like they population mapped the British and the French and the German people and the Russian people and the American people and the Australian people. I'm giving you gold here, and this was easily found. But, you know, when you're on the clickbait stuff, you got to find out. Fox News tells me what's current, and then I go and comment either for or against. That's how it works. See, the American hedge fund node. Now, this is the MERCER family. In 2013, SCO created Cambridge Analytica as a US subsidiary. So this is British City of London Ministry of Defence. Yeah, the old Mayfair set, private intelligence network. Now they're bringing it into the United States, all right? They've got General Jim Jones of Denology, his son, who's deep in bed with Roger Stone. Now you're getting it. Denology, Clearforce, Patrick Berge, Shadowgate. So SCL created Cambridge Analytica as a US subsidiary to import military information operations frameworks directly into American domestic politics. So Robert Mercer, Rebecca Mercer. Now Rebecca Mercer funds who? Tucker CARLSON and the Tucker CARLSON network. And we can tie them all in back to the same group, the same network as Candace Owens and Lord Farmer, all the way to Andrew Tate, our little gay friend who was getting his dick sucked by George Farmer in the nightclub scene. Then he's a little Renwick. He runs errands backwards and forwards to Dubai. Right? Diamonds, Chabad, blood diamonds up the vaginas of the young girls he recruits. That's what their vaginas are for. They can shove $40 million worth of diamonds up there and they can run. That's how they run the drug money backwards and forwards. Right there. Steve Bannon, vice president. Then Bannon has the huge falling out with Rebecca Mercer when Rebecca Mercer says, cease with the populist content. See, they want to get rid of Trump, and so do I. He's a albatross around the neck because he's so freaking compromised. But the problem is this. They're all freaking compromised. That's the problem. No one can move. So they play these little Cold War games backwards and forwards. So Robert Mercer, billionaire, CEO of Renaissance Technology, the world's most profitable quantitative hedge fund. That means the computer system's just backwards and forwards. Mercer provided the $15 million initial seed funding to establish Cambridge Analytica, acquiring a 90% controllable stake. This is the Mayfair set. Go watch Adam Curtis. Steve Bannon, installed by Mercer as vice president and board member of Cambridge Analytica. Bannon oversaw day-to-day strategic alignment, driving the psychographic profiling experiments aimed at the US electorate. Rebecca Mercer, who funds Tucker CARLSON network. Rebecca Mercer is funding all these people. Rebecca Mercer is funding Thomas Massie, General FLYN, best friends with General Jim Jones of Denology, who is also a part of the whole system, the ones who are trying to get rid of Trump. See, that's just where I want Trump got rid of too, but they want rid of him as well for other reasons. But Trump is not the linchpin here. The trouble is they're all so damn corrupt. Rebecca Mercer managed the Mercer's family political investments and served as the direct liaison between Mercer Capital, Cambridge Analytica, and external political entities. She married a French guy with a Russian name, the old white Russians, who escaped to France. But he was French-born, and there's all these French people. You know, Jacob Hellberg, the head of the Pax Silica, he's born in France. Keith Raboy, he's got a French last name. I'm just saying, there seems to be a real French theme. It's okay, Frenchies, I don't hate you. I still want to go to your restaurants and visit Paris and see all the... In fact, someone said that's one of the few places you might be safe is France. I thought, why is that? It began to make sense. So, you know, no one's just run by one group, I promise you. There's huge fights going on everywhere. The continuing asset vehicle, Emerdata Limited. This is what Cambridge Analytica became after all the hoo-ha. When public scrutiny and regulatory inquiries forced Cambridge Analytica and SCL Group into formal insolvency in May 2018, the core network had already established a successor entity, Emerdata Limited. Emerdata was incorporated in London in 2017 to consolidate the intellectual property, data assets and executive staff of SCL Group and Cambridge Analytica under a clean corporate umbrella. And it's all the same person. And one of the interesting people in all this was a Russian emigre out of Canada. Canada's intimately involved with this. You remember, let me pause for a second. Right here, Alexander Kogan's app. Kogan was vital in this. It was his stuff that did all the Facebook. He's intimately linked in with the Russians out of St. Petersburg. What else is in St. Petersburg, ladies and gentlemen? Oh, that would be Prigozhin, the Evgeny Prigozhin's group that did all the data analytics and all the trolling. Oh, I see. I see. And this is where we get into J.D. Vance, Tucker CARLSON, and Candace Owens. Peter Thiel. It's that same group. It's the same City of London group. No one's clean here. I don't believe J.D. Vance knew what he was getting into. I think he's changed. I'm not going to say I'd vote for him. I'm just saying a lot of these people don't know. They don't know, but they know now. And you can see a lot of them backpedaling, just as you do. There was a day when you didn't know, correct? So you got to give the benefit of the doubt to some of these people to a point. I said to a point. But Vance is as designed as an AI data center from the ground up. The Lodge has taught him well. He's an excellent public speaker. So anyway, and then we had Zach Massingham and the guys that actually did the Cambridge Analytica stuff. There's a great, what's the name of the movie with what's his face? I'll put it up. But they did it's actually very entertaining and it gives you a good overview, just an overview of all these people. It doesn't go deep into it. But you can see all the Jimmy Goldsmiths, City of London's, Lord Farmer. So we've got the capital, Jacob Rothschild, and the City of London's finance, the corporate raiders, the Jimmy Goldsmith and property tycoons. All right, they all trace back to that same central banking crowd. The aristocracy, the children of these raiders, Zach Goldsmith merged with the Rothschilds and entered the House of Lords, sitting alongside City of London Tory megadonor like Lord Farmer in the House of Lords. The data psychological operations. So these people fund SCL Group. SCL Group is then hired by Zach Goldsmith to manipulate the London electorate. SCL's American subsidiary is then funded by Robert Mercer to manipulate the US electorate. It's all City of London. And there's General FLYN and the gang. The modern fronts, figures like Candace Owens and Tucker CARLSON operate as the populist media vanguard, yet Owens is married directly into Lord Farmer's House of Lords, City of London household, and CARLSON is funded directly by Mercer's 1789 capital. The populism is on the screen, the interlocking capital and intelligence networks are in the boardroom. Ladies and gentlemen, for crying out loud, when is the incredible internet sleuths going to get onto this while they decide what color were Charlie Kirk's underpants at the shooting? No wonder they did such a joke of the shooting to give everyone a bone to gnaw on. And more I head towards City of London knocked him off. They were losing control of their assets. They needed to totally disrupt the United States. They had their assets in place. Now people are saying, no more wars for Israel. Bring the boys home. Get out of Europe. Get out of the Middle East. Who's winning? And there's the king running down. Please, can we please control the Middle East? All doing deals, all putting pressure on each other, trying to. And if the US public would just come out and say, we want heads to roll. Fauci's never going down. They never take their own down. And you can watch RFK, that bullshit heroin addict, highly compromised fool, idiot. He's going to sit there and shake his fists. And Fauci's never going to jail. Never, ever, ever, ever. And they've already got the cover via Tucker CARLSON saying he's been humiliated now. That's enough. No need to go to jail. Watch Fauci just walk away as they move on to the next bullshit scandal, bullshit news cycle. What happened to James Comey? I thought you were indicting James Comey. And Comey was just laughing his ass off. Yeah, come indict me. This will be funny. Our 40-year criminal rat informant, Donald Trump's gonna indict me with your DOJ. Yeah, whatever. All right, it's just a joke, the whole stinking thing, as you've no doubt worked out. That is the quick summary. I'm sure I've got your interest now. If the internet was real, this would be seen by thousands of people, tens, hundreds of thousands. Then all the sleuths would go, yeah, you pointed me in the right direction. They would dig in and they would find stuff. They would elaborate. They would include that person but exclude that person. They would have another narrative, but we'd hone it down into fine steel. Tempered, hardened, ready to penetrate into the body politic, ready to penetrate into popular culture and inform the people so the people can make informed decisions. But it never does because we sit online. And I do this purely from the hope that I can live day to day and week to week without any concern whatsoever that being online is making any difference at all. Or is it? I'm sure it's making a small difference with a small group of people. Go Mary Silver, over 30,000 votes now and climbing, and she's going to be in the election. Let's see what shenanigans they pull. We'll note the names, Ari Hoffman. We'll put you on the list, baby. Ladies and gents, I hope I got a little bit of your attention with this stuff. If I'm not, I'm going to get to posting more regularly, but I just end up down these rabbit holes that never end. But it's all honing back to that City of London group every single time. And just for fun, watch. Talk again real soon. Remember what I just told you about Cambridge Analytica, SCL Group NATO, City of London, Lord Farmer, all the barons, the Ministry of Defence, NATO, linked in with General Jim Jones, Denology, Clear Force, the great Patrick Berge spilling the beans on Roger Stone, Paul Manafort. Oh, there's no Russia collusion? There's no Russia collusion? Dear Lord. Dear Lord, indeed.
What is our common bond truly? Freedom. Freedom. Without freedom, you can't be a Christian no matter what denomination you belong to. You can't be a Buddhist. You can't own a donut shop. You can't drive from here to Oregon. You can't be an American because that's what it's all about, and that's the only thing that it's all about. Nothing else. Nothing else. It's about freedom. Only freedom.